Welcome everybody to the project description video. Let's go ahead and jump into an overview of the project so that you know what to do and when. So going to the bottom of Canvas here, we are at the group Shiny project, and all the information that you need is contained in the group Shiny project description, and specifically the group Shiny project HTML file. So if you click on that guy, and I'd recommend downloading that to have that for your records, that will look like this. So what we're going to be doing is building a Shiny application, just like we did in the notes. And you're going to have that application allow the user to explore stories for themselves. So we're going to be using that interactivity to add value to the story that we're telling about a particular data set. So you can read that, but that is the essence of this project. So there's a few different data sets that you have to choose from. And this is what your first deliverable is. So the first deliverable is a group contract with your group member or members, and then also picking a data set. So what's included in the group project, in the group contract, is going to be a few questions about how you guys are going to work as a group. Kind of what are the group dynamics? What do you guys value? What is going to be the way that you're going to communicate? How are you going to work on this coding project together? So spend a few minutes. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Just spend a few minutes and writing down a few thoughts about these questions. And then also pick a data set that you are going to choose. So lock in on a data set so that you can start thinking about how you can visualize that. And you'll just put that down here. In terms of what the data set is going to be, you have a few different options. So there is going to be two data sets that I have provided for you that you can use, or you can select your own. So if we look at the ones that I have for you, we have the NBA player games data. This is a bunch of NBA data from basketballreference.com, and we can find this on Canvas right here, the basketball data. And then we also have, just like in the 3.3 homework, the data transformation. There is going to be a expanded version of this that contains about 160,000 songs from Spotify's library. So it has the same information. It might need a little bit of data cleaning. So both of these data sets will present their own challenges in terms of what needs to do in terms of data cleaning, how you're going to visualize them, and how you're going to construct that user interface. And then finally, I wanted to keep it open-ended, so you can, if you would like, select your own data as well. So I gave a few different websites that you can scroll through. So Tidy Tuesday is one option. Here you can just click through the different years and folders. And looks like I found a different Spotify data set. So just navigate through those to find a CSV file that we can use. If you're familiar with Kaggle, that is also a very popular data set website. So you can navigate through there and try to find something interesting. I would recommend trying to find something that is big-ish data. So it doesn't have to be like a million records, but I don't want it to be like 30 or 40. So a couple thousand at least. And that will allow you to have lots of exploration. The last one, awesome public data sets. If we just scroll down here, there's a bunch of different contexts. So you can navigate through all of these and try to find something interesting as well. But if you have another source as well, you can do that if you would like. So open-ended in terms of what data you can use. So that is going to be your first deliverable, is this group contract. So all I want is for you guys to download this Word doc that is on Canvas. So the group Shiny group contract, and pick a data set. And you will be submitting that in this submission link. So it's not worth any points, but it's just to get you started with the project so that you are locked in on a data set. The next deliverable that you have is going to be an app sketch, just like we saw in the notes. So this is a very rough sketch. So go ahead and read that, but I want your sketches to be much more detailed. So they should include better descriptions of the interface, better pictures of the layout, and what exactly is going to be controlled by the user, what is going to be a constant variable, what types of plots, whether you're going to be using ggplot or plotly, right? Think about the code behind what is going to be on the user interface as well. So this one doesn't have to be anything beautiful. It doesn't have to be digital, so you can hand sketch this if you would like, but some kind of sketch demonstrating all the different features described here. So that is what I want for the app sketch, and that will be submitted for 5 points through this submission link. And then we also have the next deliverable is going to be an app check-in meeting. So after the second week of the project, or during the second week of the project, I will need every group to schedule a 15-minute time slot with me in order to demonstrate a working version of the app. So this project is going to run from now until the end of the semester. So this is going to be in place of our final. So we're going to have 3 weeks to work on this. So about halfway through the project, hopefully we could have a working version of the app, at least some static plots in there, maybe not all the way connected to the user interface, but we know what type of plots, we have a user interface laid out, right? Something like that is what I would like to see so that we can discuss and figure out any challenges that you have and work through those. So the way to do that is by clicking on the meeting time slots link. Next up is going to be the final application. So the final turn-in that you're going to have is going to be a final ARC file with the Shiny code. And it's going to be graded according to this rubric that you can download on Canvas. So the final application is going to be according to this rubric. So this is how I will be grading it. And it's going to be a few different categories for how the points are assigned. But what I'm looking for is clarity and organization of the code, documentation of the source, right? I want all of the plots to work, all of the user interface to work. So when you submit the file, as long as I have the data loaded, the app should run perfectly fine on my computer, just like it does on yours. And I also want to have interesting research questions. So really dive into the data and kind of uncover some interesting stories. And that's going to be the focus of how can we use the application? How can we use those plots to investigate some characteristics of the data? So that should be the focus. So feel free to read through all of this, and I have it broken down into what is going to be an excellent project, what is an acceptable project, and then what would be a poor project. So hopefully you guys are all aiming for an excellent project. So that is going to be the code version of this. Along with the code is going to be a presentation. So you guys will also be submitting a recorded presentation, right? This is going to serve as the final, like I mentioned. And there are a few requirements. So I'll just briefly touch on these. So the presentation in total should be between 8 to 10 minutes long. And I would like you to cover the following areas. So first is going to be just a full introduction of the problem. So we're going to take the beginning, middle, and end of this entire data analysis. So we're going to introduce the problem, the research question in the data set, have some questions to help guide you with that. Then there's going to be a description of all of the data work that you did. So all the data cleaning, how you manipulated the data, how you summarized in order to get the plots that are ultimately in the app. And then also the demonstration of the app and how it actually answers the research question. So demonstrating the features of the app and then actually using it to answer your research questions. So that is going to be the general flow. First minute is the introduction, the 2 to 3 minutes of the data prep, and then 4 to 6 minutes of the demonstrating the app, and that gets us to the 8 to 10 range. So for these first 2 parts, you're going to make some slides over these. So rather than just talking through them, actually make some slides. I have some example slides that can be with PowerPoint, Google Slides, whatever you would like. These are just an example to show you the kind of depth that I'm looking for. These are about a slightly different context. It's about a simulation, but in general, you get the gist of what I'm looking for there. And then once you're done with that, you can switch over and actually be running the app in your R session. As far as recording the presentation goes and the logistics, I think the easiest way to be would just be hosting a Zoom session. So all of you guys get together and just have one computer running the Zoom and the R Shiny app and the slides, and just switch off who is presenting. If you're comfortable with it, I would like you to leave the camera on just so that I know who is speaking. If not, then please announce who is speaking. That will help me. And feel free to use any other platform that you would like. And the presentation is going to be graded according to this rubric. So again, I have it broken up into excellent, acceptable, and poor. So it has each part: the intro, the data description, demonstration of the features, explanation of the plots, and the conclusion. So again, the general strategy of a presentation is going to be tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them, right? That's the flow. So you're introducing a problem, you are explaining how you solved the problem, and then you are summarizing everything that you said previously. And then the very last and important part is going to be the peer evaluation. But I'll show you the app presentation as well. So you're going to be submitting the code in the final application, and then you will be submitting the MP4 file, the recorded presentation, in this link here. So just one submission per group for both the app sketch, the final application, and the final presentation. And the app sketch is worth 5 points. The app check-in meeting is worth 5 points. The final application and the presentation are both worth 40. And then the peer evaluation is worth 5, so that brings us up to 95. I'll be making another survey that'll bring us up to 100 points. So this project is worth 25% of your overall grade, and it's going to be broken down into 100 points based on these different subtasks. So as far as the peer evaluation goes, this one is going to be submitted individually. There's part of it that you can work on together, but what you're going to do is answer all of these questions for each of your different group members. So if you're in a group of 3, then you'll do 2 of these forms, 1 for each other group member. And so what I have written out here is going to be really important. So please be honest in these, right? This is going to help me honestly evaluate the grades to the best of my ability. So I want to know how your group dynamics work, how you guys work together. And this is not going to be shared with anybody. So you can be honest about your group members, especially if there's any concerns, then I need to know about them. This is your chance to explain them. Hopefully you would have reached out to me beforehand, but this would be another opportunity in order to make sure that you kind of are covered. So ideally, everyone is shooting for great work, and that is the effort that I hope all of you put forward to this project, and that can hopefully be reflected in your peer evaluations. So there's just going to be a detailed description of what everybody did. So I have a rough outline, but I want yours to be much more descriptive. So I should be able to tell exactly who contributed what specific piece, who coded what, who was responsible for what idea. That's what I want to see in this first section. So you can either print this and do it by hand and scan it, or you can just type it in the Word document. Again, you can download that Word doc here. And then there are a few questions about strongly agree or strongly disagree, about how you worked with your group specifically. And then please provide a justification of each of these, right? I don't want you to just be randomly picking these numbers. Actually give it some thought. This is going to, ultimately you get points for this, but it can affect the final grade as well if there are concerns. And then there's a final opportunity for you to express anything that I need to know as well. So peer evaluation form, very important there. And I think that wraps up the final project. So if there are any questions about that along the way, feel free to reach out in email, or you can post in the discussion board.